Well, I do believe we are live. This is awesome. It's been a long time since I've been able to hop on the mic here and just deliver a little stream of consciousness and whatnot. All right, so I think we are set up to go. We've got live stream chats available. That's awesome. That's new. New scene, and then Anthony will be along shortly. We're going to be just here hanging out for a few minutes until he's able to hop in, and then we will go from there. Excellent. I've got everything set up. Everything looks to be good to go. It's been a long time. I'm really hoping that everything is still functioning properly. You know how this tech stuff goes. It's a constant battle all the time. There's always some kind of thing going wrong, or something's changed, or who knows. Anyway, if you can do me a huge favor and share this stream, let people know we are live. It's been a long time, as I may have said just a moment ago. And so I don't know if anybody even knows we're doing this. I just found out last night. Anthony's like, "Hey, I got some free time. Let's do a show." So we're doing a show. Honestly, the biggest issue we've been running into is the constant workloads that both of us have been having to deal with. He's got a job that works multiple hours, way too many hours for my comfort. And I've been working on getting myself separated from the old 9 to 5, flipping couches and whatnot. All right. We have one chat, and it's some kind of weird auto chat, so never mind. Moving on. Yeah, so basically what I've been focusing on lately myself is I've got a number of endeavors I've been trying to chase after and trying to take our own advice. You know, Anthony and I have been, in the past, we've been constantly promoting the idea that we need to focus local. We need to focus on what we can control within our own surroundings and our own environment. And in keeping with that advice, I've been focusing on just that, trying to get my own financial house in order, trying to get my own career in order. I've been working on a number of things in so far as, let's say, flipping couches has been the big one, doing home remodeling, a little graphic design here and there, a little bit of whatever I can do that meets two basic requirements. My requirements have to be that, one, I need to be able to avoid a 9 to 5. I don't want something that's going to lock me into a schedule. And then the second one is that I don't want to do anything that doesn't involve any level of creativity, which is polar opposite from what I was doing before working at Nissan. And holy shit, that was insane. Because that was just basically mind-numbing, repetitive work that did nothing to help a creative mind. Hey, Anthony.
What's up, homie? Good to see you.
Hell yeah. Let's see how you're framed up here.
It's only been a couple of months.
Yeah, is that all?
I think it's been about 8 months.
Yeah, I'd say it's been something about there. Let me get your frame.
It's been a little bit.
In alignment here, and you're a tall cookie.
Yeah.
Not that tall.
No.
Apparently, I thought you were huge. So we'll tip you down a little bit.
It depends. Are we talking height, or are we talking penis size? What are we talking about?
Well, I mean, since we're on the topic.
Okay. Can I fit through a doorway?
Yes.
Then again, the question is posed. Which are we talking about? It's good to see you, man.
Hell yeah. It's been a minute. I was just telling folks, so we, you and I both have been focusing on other things, trying to get our financial houses and our, basically the whole concept of focusing local and how we can focus on what we can control within our own realm and getting that stuff in order before we go trying to save the world, you know?
Well, before we jump into all of that, how you been? Like, I just pulled up and noticed the little pathway or walkway that you've got set up now.
I've been, like I said,
that looks great.
Focusing on like getting my house in order, getting my, you know, everything just starts. You've seen it. Everything just starts piling up, and as I'm trying to focus on too many things at once, so I'm just starting to really get into everything getting cleared off my plate, so I have a much clearer mind. And
I think it's what
I don't
we
have
needed.
So many things. Like there's just so many things that I'm constantly bouncing back and forth around.
Yeah.
I haven't shared it yet, so I've been just trying to.
Well, I didn't know if you had or not. I was literally coming in on 2 wheels. I was trying to get here in time.
Oh yeah, you were doing great. I was only here for about 5 seconds by myself, you know.
So here's the thing.
Honestly, people like me better, so you know.
Oh, I know. I've gotten used to that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So yeah, I we needed to get some things in order. And, I will tell people that this show does not pay our bills. And if it's not paying my bills, at some point I have to step away for a little bit and focus on the things that do pay my bills.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at right now. And we've always said it from the very beginning. We enjoy doing this show. It's fun. It's fun to get on here and, and talk social issues, politics, relationships, whatever the case might be.
Right.
But here lately, it seems like, it's been 6-7 days at work, and, I've had, quite a bit of stuff going on personally.
Yeah.
Nothing really bad. Just taking trips and, and our AC went out like, 2 weeks ago? And at that time, which was like the hottest week of the year. So, it's just.
Of course.
Yeah, it's just pressure washing the house, the deck, and
all that shit that just piles up.
Yeah,
if you don't,
it
you
just
have to
needed to get done.
And honestly, if you can't maintain your own household, if you can't
Right.
keep your own shit under control and in order, like, who are you to tell anybody else how we should run society overall, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of been an ongoing theme in my mind for at least a year now, and it's been great to be able to focus on what's important, what's actually within my my locus of control,
Right.
and it clears a lot off my brain. I'm not constantly going pew, 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 back and forth to 1,000 different things that are all demanding my attention, and for some reason I'm offering equal weight to all of them. Like,
Yeah, it's kinda
that's
hard
just
to do.
nobody can do that. Nobody can keep up with the problems of 7-8 million people in the world. Like, that's just too
Yeah.
much.
Well, I mean, we did our best to try to get on here, if not once a week, every other week.
Yeah.
We did that for a while, but then people don't seem to realize how much is involved with trying to, produce and edit and, everything else when it comes to this show. I mean, obviously,
right.
I don't know because you do all of that, but for
And
the
hell-
most part, I get a gist of what you're doing. And yeah, so it's been kind of rather interesting to kind of see how things have unfolded over the last couple of months. And let me ask you, since the last time we were on here, which was before the new year, what all have you seen from just your front of things? Like, are you kind of in tune with what's going on in the world politically, socially? I mean, where are you at? Like, what
I
all have you
still-
seen or heard since last time we spoke on here?
Right. I still knock out about.
Who is that?
That's Sophia. She's taking the dog out. But anyway, I still focus on. Excuse me. That was a hell of a weird. Having trouble focusing while trying to say what I'm focused
No,
on.
that's fine.
I still am able to cram in 15, 16 hours worth of podcasts a day by listening to them on 2 times speed.
Yeah.
And because of the type of work that I take on, I'm able to listen all the time and keep
Mhm.
up with things as needed. And
Okay.
it's kind of that thing where you kind of keep your ear to the ground just to see if there's anything major that's coming about. And you
There's
kinda,
been a lot going
yeah,
on.
there's been a lot. It's like, and then each one of them's like, do I have any control over this? No, not really. So am I going to take the time to get in depth on what's all the details and try to?
Yeah.
No, not really. I just don't have the time to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with it. I can't control it even if I did.
Yeah.
And it's not like we have a huge audience size that's going to be able to tip the scales in any
Oh, yeah.
any way, shape, or form, which is fine. It's not really what we're here.
Is there anything that you really that stood out to you the most that was just like, we could have done a show about that?
Oh, for sure. One example comes to mind is the Sound of Freedom film that was coming
Yes.
out,
Mhm.
and I saved so many videos. And it's kind of ironic. TikTok, everybody's like against it. It's like the Chinese are trying to manipulate us, and they're trying to control our minds, and they've got all our data, which is probably true. But at
No, it is true.
the same time, I'm getting news from TikTok that I can't get anywhere else. Like, because our own U.S. government, our own media, they are not talking about it. They're censoring it. They're shutting it down. It's like, but on TikTok, anything that's anti-American or anti-government, the Chinese are like, here you go, feed you all this. Like, how would I have learned that there's no law that says we have to pay income taxes at all?
Yeah.
There's no law on the books. I learned that in great depth from TikTok. And
That's interesting.
I learned all the court things that have been going on as far as people trying to battle it and say, look, show me the law, I'll pay the taxes. They can't show you the law. That it's stuff like that. It's like it's very in alignment with Chinese goals, but it's also in alignment. It just so happens it's in alignment with an anarchist goals as well. So I learned a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sound of Freedom. I learned this while that was going on. I saved a bunch of TikTok videos. that we're talking about all of the weird shit that was going on around that, between all of the movie theaters shutting down, the AC. They all had technical issues. They all had some reason to refund your money. They didn't want you
Yeah.
seeing it, and it was just weird seeing the multitude of ways that was being used to try to prevent people from watching this film, which ironically just made people want to watch the film more.
But my question is why are folks doing that? Why are folks preventing you from seeing a story that is true? Because you got to remember, the guy that did this was interviewed some years back on NBC,
Right.
and they praised him for what he was doing.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he's being ostracized and criticized and all this other stuff for, actually protecting children.
Well, it's funny
When
because
did protecting children become such a bad thing?
I don't know. It wasn't about. See, that's just it. A lot of people were saying that, oh, it's got QAnon ties.
That's
And then when people watched
Yeah.
it, they're like, "Where? What are you talking about?" Oh, because we don't want people like diddling children. Like that's that's really weird. I don't know why they would do it. I got my suspicions.
oh yeah, I
But
think we all
just
do.
at the risk of becoming you sounding like a conspiracy theorist, it's like they obviously don't want people seeing the film for some reason.
Right.
It's clear to me that they don't want us seeing it
Mhm.
and didn't want us seeing it. I don't want to speculate as to why, but I mean it's just something to think about. You notice a pattern, you notice
The elites, the
Yeah.
people in Hollywood, and there's a lot of your higher ups that tend to want to kind of tiptoe around this or try to avoid it at all cost. And I've noticed that here lately, and it's been probably more prominent within the LBG LMNOP community. That really, I mean, they even chant that they're coming after your kids. Well, I mean, think about that for a second. They can't have kids.
yeah.
I mean, if lesbians can't. I mean, unless you have some surgery done of some sort, that's the only way they
Well,
can
right,
have
well,
children.
that does make sense. If you can't have children, you're very incentivized to influence the other children because you're not
Right,
going to be able to
yeah.
pass your philosophies and your
Mhm.
ideologies onto your children.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
That's
I
why
didn't
they're
even
going through
think
the
about
school
that
system.
specific connection. Yeah.
that's
for
why
sure.
they're going through the school system, and that's why they're trying to indoctrinate so many kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
Well,
part of this,
in order for their ideology to survive, they necessarily have to, right?
They have
I mean,
to,
they
yeah.
absolutely have to transmit that because we've talked about how ideas transmit like viruses. That's been a common
Mhm.
theme throughout our show and throughout history, actually. And to see them try to transmit that virus onto somebody, they got it. Yeah, you're right. I just
Well, and I think that's where and to put some clarification to this is the LBG community that I don't have the issue with.
Yeah.
That's your straight up gays, lesbians, people that we know that really don't believe in his ideology of the whole transgender and everything else that kind of has now adapted itself to this, umbrella that is, the gay community.
Mhm.
And so we've seen that at least on our front with the people that we know that are completely against this, gays against groomers. I mean, we've seen this whole thing, this whole cycle, and that was the big thing back in June. But obviously, there's been a lot more going on since, the last time we were on the show. And
Right.
the one thing I've noticed is this. Oh, Bud Light. What have you done to me? People talk about a cultural shift that's going on right now, and I actually do believe that. I believe with
Yeah.
Bud Light, with Target, what we're seeing with Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town, and now recently with Oliver Anthony. It's just, you're seeing this progression of, and I don't know if sometimes the right means to push back the way that it does, because I don't think, in
It's a
some
pendulum
cases,
swing. It's a pendulum
yeah,
swing that we've seen since I mean, I've seen it since the '90s.
right.
Back during Satanic Panic. It was just like,
Mhm, yeah.
the pendulum just keeps swinging back and forth and back and forth, and we're gonna go from one extreme to the other, and I feel like we're heading back in that direction where the right is controlling culture, and then give it another decade, and we'll be right back to the left controlling culture.
Well, and it's going to turn into a situation where the right is the crazy ones, and then the left is more of the same.
Yeah.
This tends to happen every 50 years.
No way,
and
people
we
take things
see
too
that.
far. Are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, right. But I think what was interesting for me, anyways, is that this whole recent situation with Oliver Anthony is that when he did the Rich Men North of Richmond, he wasn't specifically talking about a certain side. political side. He was just calling it out for what it was from both sides.
Right.
But we've become a society that wants to adapt certain things and claim it as our own, and we've seen the right do that, with this song, Richmond and North of Richmond. And it's interesting what your ideologies or your beliefs tend to, to align with. Okay. And when he came out with the song, it wasn't really targeted to say, hey, I'm a conservative, or hey, I'm liberal. This was right down the center as much as possible. I don't know if you've heard the song, but
I have.
Yeah. So
yes, I've heard clips, probably enough to hear the whole song. I was trying to wait because I know we're going to be doing a reaction video to that later on. But yeah, just in short, I do know that it is interesting. A lot of people took to this video and the lyrics, and for different reasons. And like, some people think he's talking about rich people in general. They kind of forget about the North of Richmond, which is directly talking about for people from D.C.
Right.
Right-wing people tend to think he's talking about the left. He's not. He's talking. The song was actually written in his own words. He said in an interview, the song was written about the GOP.
The politicians, yeah.
Yeah, politicians in general. But at the time when he wrote it, it was about the GOP.
Right.
So it's like, well, yeah, and I really relate to it a lot, because it's very anti-authoritarian, anti-government. Saying, hey, our money's worth to the toilet paper we wipe our asses on, but I don't want to talk about too much about that. So
I think it's important. I mean, once we do the reaction, it'll kind of we'll circle back to it. But what I was trying to get to is that this was something that seemed to resonate worldwide. This wasn't just a U.S. thing, and I just know that just by reading the comment section on his video. I mean, this video has now garnished over 40 million views in just a little over, I think, less than 3 weeks. Is what we're looking at right now. So when you look at the numbers and you look at the comments and you see people from other countries that have done reactions to this video and can resonate with it, it doesn't matter what your political ideology is. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter where you're at in the world. This song has really connected with people on a personal level, because it's something that we're all having to deal with, and that's different than, Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town. That was, I think, kind of specifically geared towards what was going on in the U.S., obviously with the clips that were shown on the Capitol building down in Columbia of the Antifa riots and Black Lives Matter. Now, what was interesting about that music video was that was deemed to be racist.
Of course.
And because now, my opinion, strictly my opinion, when I saw the protesting, my first thought was not Black Lives Matter. It was Antifa. Antifa has been doing the shit that they've been doing long before Black Lives Matter ever came onto the scene.
Yeah, we've covered all that too.
I mean, I've had my encounters with Antifa before in the past, so I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, this was not a racial song. This was something that was kind of covering the basis of what was generally going on within our own society in the bigger cities. We saw that in Murfreesboro. That was
Hell, we've got friends that got Nashville chapter's leader put in jail, Corey Lindley.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, we've had our
that was my first thought. That's where it went to, was, oh man, this is Antifa that he's talking about. Black people and Black Lives Matter didn't even cross my mind, because, like I said, what a lot of people don't seem to quite understand is that Antifa has been wreaking havoc up in Portland for years.
Right.
This isn't something that has just started recently, because the topics that we seem to cover and the things that we tend to discuss. And that was the one thing I was trying to explain to people, is the mainstream media does not cover what's going on in Portland, Seattle.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah. And this is not a new issue at all.
This is not a new issue. Right. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of summarize that whole song, and I thought it was interesting.
Well, let me hit the chats here for just a moment. We got Puddin' in the chats. She's finally made it. She ADD'd out for the first 15 minutes. Thanks for joining us. It's been a long time. Becky says there's a middle finger right behind Anthony. I set him up a little background there for him there. So yeah, he's got a little middle finger there, a little camera. You can, just having some fun with some lighting. It looks better with the lighting, but what the hell? I don't know. Anyway, and behind me, I have my whole shop studio set up. It's kind of, I figure where everybody else has the books set up behind them and looks all like, scholarly and stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have some tools back behind me. That's cool. I'm going to roll with it. And it's going to constantly shift as I do projects back here. That's been fun. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. Hey, let us know to answer Anthony's questions. Throw in the chats there. What are some of the things that have stood out to you most since January or so?
Well, obviously the Trump indictments.
Yeah. Like what are some of the major events of the past 6? Well, yes, let's just say 6-8 months
Yeah.
that you still think
Well,
about, remember, and
the Nashville shooting that took place, and they still haven't released the manifesto from that whole situation.
there's been so much. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, and it's just wild. Like like I titled the show like what in the world and the what, like it's just so many things. It's and I don't think either one of us could have predicted half the crap that we've seen, happening in the last year or so. And I think it's just going to get even more because we're kind of just getting into the next election season, and I think it's going to get nuts. Like we're going to see mass,
We just had
people getting banned. I think we're going to see some, and they're still trying to keep the whole Trump is a fascist, Trump is a Nazi alive. Like Trump is working with everything that, like it reminds me of the beginning of 1984 when you're talking about this one guy. That it was just that they got it reported on all the screens, and they're talking about how terrible a dude this guy is, and that's how they just keep people turned off to even looking into the character of someone. They just constantly tell you how bad he is. He's this bad. He's this bad. And at some point, people are like, "Well, there's smoke, there must be fire." At some point, you're like, how many bad things can this one person do? Like at this point, it's sounding like Trump is worse than Hitler. Like they're trying to dethrone Hitler as the number one evil dude in the world, and we're going to start using Trump as a stand-in. And the dangerous part of this is, with that thought in mind, how long until people start going, well, maybe Hitler might not have. Maybe he wasn't so bad, Maybe
there's people that actually believe that.
Yeah, and I've seen it already.
Yeah.
Some people already starting to. It's like, okay, they've lied to us about this. What did they lie? Did they lie to us about that too? Like, how do we know? And that's the problem with being caught in lies.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue. I just got in a discussion with a guy over Twitter. Basically, I posted this.
You mean X, formerly known as Twitter?
Right. That's another thing that happened. So I'm getting this discussion. The guys, I posted this thing. It said, "Do not comply. Don't be complicit. Do not comply," or whatever.
Mask mandates coming back.
Yeah. And he took it as me saying that masks don't work and COVID's not real. And I'm like, I'm
masks don't work. It's been proven.
That might be the case, but that is not the topic of my meme here. My meme is about the authoritarian control
Overreach.
and the forcing of people to do what you think is right, and that's fine. And I asked him point blank. I said, if would you be comfortable with putting a gun to my face and making me wear a mask? And he said, well, I'll answer your question, but first I need to ask you this. Do you think COVID is this and that? And I'm like, how can I possibly know? We've caught them lying to us so many times.
I know COVID's real. I mean, my cousin Dennis died of it. So,
Yeah,
it's not.
Well, yeah, he's talking to my, like, I have to answer all these things about COVID, and that's not the point. He's like completely, and it's like, hello, I just want to know if you're comfortable putting a gun to my face and telling me that I have to do this. That's all I need to know.
The thing about the mask mandates, again, this is done through companies, not so much by the government, but the government has kind of, they kind of started this whole thing.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's kind of give
out,
companies now the authority to kind of force this upon the public.
Well, they figured out a way to enforce things without actually enforcing. Enforcing things. They've done the same thing with social media websites where, they're not allowed to violate your First Amendment rights, but they're allowed to send emails to Twitter, with the implicit, hey, you need to remove these people because they're bad people and they're breaking rules and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like they put somebody between our First Amendment rights and themselves, so they can claim they're clear, they're free and clear. They didn't do nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't think this is going to last very long because obviously the pushback we saw last time, and it's going to get to a point where people are just going to say enough is enough, and that's kind of where we're at in our society right now. And I think we're seeing that everything that's going on with the right, with obviously Bud Light.
Yeah,
Bud Light is the poster child of what not to do.
That was hilarious
when it comes to social issues.
Yeah,
and trying to, I mean, you've got the person that worked for Bud Light that was trying to be progressive. Okay, I get all that. But when you abandon your core base of the people that buy your beer product, and the company still stands on that, and they're not willing to budge or apologize or whatever, and you're taking this massive blow, me as an investor, I would look at how things are being ran right now and be like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna start making some changes.
It's-
But Bud
it-
Light is not doing that.
It's like Twitch turning around and insulting gamers in their ads. Like,
Yeah.
your core audience is gamers. Why would you do that? You know, that's exactly what Bud Light did. Is just insulted their core audience.
And
Just
then-
right to their face. And then when they had a complaint about it, they're like, "Oh, well, we're going to double down and do it again."
Well, and of course, I think what we're seeing now is Republicans, thank God, conservatives have started to figure out that, you know, we don't have to take to the streets to win this war on culture.
Right.
We can do it by using our dollar. And that's exactly what's going on, is that they're shifting their priorities as far as, you know, winning this culture war, not necessarily going out and destroying shit, because when's the last time you heard of conservatives doing that?
Well, the beauty of
You
that is
don't.
they don't create the optics that way.
Well, yes,
Yeah,
that's
you don't
true.
you don't end up with, because that's how they turn J6 against everybody.
Well, and
It's
that,
like,
and
oh,
that's-
these conservatives, they're violent. They're trying to take over the country, and they could use that imagery in that
Right.
against. But boycotts, financial, you know,
Yes.
voting with your dollars.
Yeah.
There's no picture for that.
There isn't, and just seeing what happened with Target, seeing the losses they've taken in their fourth quarter.
Sorry to interrupt, but what are they going to do? Take a picture of people not holding a Bud Light and talk about how evil they are? Like,
But it really, it's, you know, cause see, for the longest time, conservatives had a bad habit of saying they're going to boycott something,
Yeah.
and then it lasts maybe a couple of days, and then it kind of fades away, and then it's off to something else. Conservatives really dug their heels in on this one,
Yeah.
and I'm actually kind of proud that they kind of stood their ground on this whole situation. And now that we've seen the impact of how much money that Bud Light has now has lost, you've got the former the heir, I think, of Bud Light or Anheuser willing to buy back Bud Light. I mean, it's gotten that bad. But then we see what happens with Target with the whole, you know, the Gay Pride Month and them selling the merchandise and so forth. And then all of a sudden you're starting to see songs that are pro-America
well, we've been seeing
with
the
Tom
songs,
McDonald yes.
but they're just now starting to kind of get mainstream adoption now.
But what I'm saying is that we're seeing everything reach up to number one.
Yeah.
Everything we're not voting, but we're making a statement with the dollar. With what we've earned, we're putting it towards things that we believe in.
Yeah.
We really saw that with Oliver Anthony. That thing, for his first single, first time ever on the charts, went straight to number one. The Beatles didn't do it. Elvis didn't do it. Michael Jackson didn't do it. I mean, this is where you have to kind of step back and realize that if you're going to win this culture war, the best way conservatives can go about doing it is through their
Yeah.
wallet.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we have often been classified as the working class, and we're the ones that can't go out and protest because, well, we have to be at work.
Yeah,
we have
imagine
to
that.
pay the bills. Well, and I think that's where a lot of conservatives have understood. Okay, well, if we can't go out and protest, if we can't go out and burn cities down and destroy cop cars and government buildings, with the exception of one. You know, we can do it with the dollar, and it is working. And I hope this trend continues, because it's going to force a lot of these companies to rethink, you know, their business model of what they're really trying to do.
Well-
But the kickback to this is that if you abandon one side and cater to the other, and if you retract what you're doing, now you've abandoned the other side and brought back this other side. So you're not going to please everybody.
Yeah, no, you
You're
can't.
going to have to take a stance on what you believe in. Bud Light made that choice.
Well, with this in mind,
So-
let me show you this. I don't know if you've heard about this Public Square app.
Yes, I have that.
Yeah,
I love
so,
it. It's great.
Yeah, so we've got Public Square is actually, it says to sign up and start shopping quality products, services, and exclusive discounts from values-aligned businesses you can trust.
Yep.
So, I mean, I know I have been hearing a lot of folks talking about this,
Yeah.
and
Tim Pool uses this a lot, and actually they're sponsoring their next live event down in Miami.
right, and I met the people, I met some of the representatives from down there. What just went off? Did that just go off?
Yeah.
No.
Huh. Weird.
That's weird. Anyway, I just charged all the batteries for them. Anyway, yeah, I've been hearing different podcasts and stuff talking about this. So if you're looking for something that aligns with your values and you want to shop with only companies that, deal with,
I'm in the dark.
what you believe, you look fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You look fine.
Okay.
you're not as dark as you think.
No, I know.
I'm digging the mustache, by
Damn
the
it.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something I'm trying. I'm gonna grow out with the handlebars and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna
Okay.
look straight.
Well, I think we're gonna get you a cool
Yeah.
hat to go with it. But yeah. So I mean, I've talked to a bunch of people that wanted to try to do something like this, and I've heard a bunch of plans of trying to make it happen. And these guys actually did it. They've created this, and you can have the app on your phone, and you can. I haven't used it yet.
Now,
I'd like to check it out at least. I keep forgetting about it.
It's still.
I never have
not
enough
in
money
the-
to go shopping, so
Well, it's not in develop. I mean, obviously it's out, but they're still trying to bring on more businesses. So
Right.
you're not going to find nearly as many places as you'd like to find to be able to shop. That's more aligned with your
Yeah.
values and stuff like that. So
I'm still in the financial bracket where I can't really afford to shop at anything more than like Walmart right now. So
well, I mean, but this is a great source.
a little
to-
bit. I have been trying to be more cognizant about shopping local where I can. Like if I
Yeah.
need services and stuff to I try to find somebody that's local rather than a big name company. Something that where the money stays in my community.
Yep.
It's not a bad philosophy to hold. It's just that I think the left is taking that idea so heavily on their side that it's almost turned off the right in a way. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something there, but
No, I think I think a lot of it is, we want to support everything that's going on with China and Russia, Ukraine, and all these other companies. We see that we're giving so much money to Ukraine when we have deadly wildfires over in Maui.
yeah.
And the way that Joe Biden has responded to that whole debacle is just it's pathetic in my opinion. Yeah, just the way he's reacted, dude. It's just we're willing to give what was it 150 billion or some shit like that to Ukraine for this war.
I've heard estimates that each individual in Ukraine has received roughly around $3,000 per person.
Yeah, the
based on
folks in Maui are only going to get $700.
Now to say that I've also heard the argument that that's not. I mean, yes, it's a great political argument and it'll get you great political points. Since
What is
as far as they're sending this much money over to Ukraine. but
that money does not belong over in Ukraine.
I agree with you. But here's the reason that's a kind of a bad argument is because when you're it's something Scott Adams was talking about how when comparing two things that are not alike is not necessarily the best way to make an informed decision on purchasing and whatnot. So it's more like trying to rate things in order of importance, but it doesn't mean just because I spent more money on one thing that doesn't necessarily mean it's more important to me. It's something to do with I don't know. It's just I'm doing this. These are my goals. So this is how much it costs. Sometimes it costs.
You're
that.
going to have a hard time convincing me of
Right,
the money that we sent over
this
there
isn't-
rather than taking care of our own people.
No, it's not an effort to try to convince you that we should have sent the money to Ukraine. I agree with you on that. That's not it at all. I'm just saying, trying to compare the two is not necessarily a good argument in terms of trying to plan.
Well, there is
and-
no compare.
and make goals.
That money should have been here. This
Yeah.
should have been gone to Hawaii. This is
Right,
money that
We
should have been
what we should do
allocated
is
towards.
we should still spend more in Hawaii for sure. You're not gonna tell me that we should be spending money, or you're not going to convince me either that we should be spending money anywhere outside of the country, outside of the people that are paying the taxes. One of the problems is the tax money we pay.
yeah.
It's not real. it's not real. They just print whatever they want and send it out to whoever they want. So
Well, that's why it's devalued the dollar.
Why can't they just go ahead and print more money and just send it to the people in Hawaii? Why not do that?
Well, because look at the debt ceiling right now.
I know.
It's-
I know.
yeah.
They've been doing. Yeah, we agree probably 99% on this. I'm not,
Right.
and I'm not even disagreeing with you. I was just offering a different perspective that I've heard made about it, and it kind of made me think about it a little different. It's perfect. It's perfect for scoring political points.
Yes, I understand that.
But
I mean,
from actually a cost benefit analysis and things like that, Scott Adams used to do this professionally. That's what he did. Is tried to kind of allocate funds and figure out what's.
no,
for
I understand
companies
that.
and
But
things like
when
that.
you're telling me that people in Ukraine are getting $3,000 and the people in Maui are getting $700, it's going to piss me off just a little bit.
Right.
You know,
from
what
a
I'm
political
saying?
standpoint, for sure.
Not even from a political standpoint, from the fact that you feel like this is exactly why
Right.
our country is in the place that it's in right now. We have more foreign, investments in other countries and what they're going through and trying to support them and take care of them,
Right.
that we seem to have forgotten to take care of your own people. I mean, what exactly is going on here? Like, why are we kind of like second-class citizens to the rest of the world? That's what it feels like. So you can't convince me.
Kind of
not
seems like
you,
they want you
but-
to feel that way.
That's exactly what's going on. Look at inflation. I mean, the price of used cars has gone up tremendously.
Yeah, a lot of this shit's taking the fight out of people. Honestly, it's like
I don't think it's. I disagree. I don't think it's taking the fight out of people. I think it's made people angry to want to fight, and that's what we've been doing.
Well, there's that too. I mean, when I say that, I mean like, okay, I've got to work to pay my bills. I don't have a lot of leisure time.
Right.
I'd love to go out there and focus energy on protesting on.
That's why we've been using our dollar, like what we had talked about.
Yeah, but it's like, man, when you don't even have, like, the dollar's gotten so ridiculously inflated that it's like I'm having to work 3 times as hard just to do what my parents used to be able to do, in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's like it's ridiculous. And I'm over here going. I put out a meme the other day. I said, yeah, you guys may have walked uphill both ways in the snow with no shoes on, but we're over here. At least you guys could afford a house and gas and food for your table.
Yeah.
Like every time I go to Walmart, it used to be a joke that I couldn't leave Walmart without spending $100 bill.
Yeah.
Now I'm like approaching $200 each visit, and I'm getting less stuff.
Yeah, and then you also got to factor in interest rates, credit card interest, homes. I mean, it's everything has gone up. Mm-hmm. But it's like
they're talking about raising the interest again.
Right. And then we saw this coming. You and I had a conversation on the show about this was like more than a year ago. You can go back and watch some of those videos.
Yeah, like mid 2020 or something.
Right. We told people during COVID that be prepared for what's about to happen.
Yep.
And, to plan accordingly.
Stock up them pantries. I'm glad I did because, man, the amount of food that I bought before prices went up that I still have, that I'm still working through, it's crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, we saw this coming. We knew it was going to happen. We knew when they started giving out the what was it, the COVID checks and the amount of money that they were printing. We knew this was going to happen at some point. I just didn't think it was going to come as quickly as it did. That's for sure. So, I mean, to be honest with you, everything that's kind of going on in the world, I can't complain too much because there's a lot of other countries that got it way worse than us, obviously. But everybody else is feeling the same effects as what we're going through.
Yeah.
And I saw that just reading the comment section through, again, Oliver Anthony's, first song. He's got another one that's gone number 1. But it didn't paint a really good picture for me until I read the comment section. And that's where you start to understand this isn't just a U.S. thing. This is happening everywhere. Mm-hmm. And because we're in our own little bubble and we don't get a whole lot of news outside of, the U.S., we don't see what's going on in other countries.
Yeah.
Over in, Australia, and then, of course, the U.K. I mean, there's a lot of people going through the same thing that we're currently going through.
Well, I like Rico's comment here. He says it's a fine art style money laundering. Only even more people fall for it, and it has even less accountability. It has nothing to do with helping out with anyone's war. Talking about the money going to Ukraine.
Yeah.
How they launder money through selling fine art. Apparently Hunter Biden's an amazing artist. Sells us paintings for millions of dollars.
I've got a 9-year-old that does way better art paintings than him.
It's like everybody thinks that they haven't figured this game out. Like they know how to get the money to where it needs to go without having an official paper trail. Show the smoking gun that everybody needs to believe something. It's like,
okay, here's my theory on this. Okay, and just kind of walk with me down this road if you don't mind.
Are we holding hands during this walk? Or
yes, if you want to skip, we can do that too.
Hand around. Okay,
we've done this, so
all right, well,
you know what that feels like.
We're taking a walk. We're holding hands and skipping. Got it. All right.
So this is something I've kind of alluded to before in the past on the show. Is that back then social media wasn't around.
Yeah,
you can get away with a lot more shit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more shit. And the only time you really got your source of information was in the evening news or 5 o'clock in the morning. That's your local news.
Or from Ernie down at the water cooler during your lunch break.
Right. So that you were very limited on your information as far as what you received, what was going either on in the U.S. or in the world. So you really didn't know much of what was going on. Now that social media has adapted itself to society, you can't really hide anything anymore. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting is that, you got to think that social media and the internet is still is I guess by all means still in its infancy ages. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been around that long. Yeah. It really hasn't.
Little over a decade maybe.
Right. So there's I think politicians are starting to understand and realize that what we did, 20, 30 years ago and nobody knew about it. And if you did know anything about it, it was either swept under the rug or nobody really wanted to talk about it on the evening news because there was other shit to fill the time slot
Does
with.
it feel like social media has just always been here at this point to you and me? Like,
No, it doesn't.
It kind of does to me. Like, it's always
No.
been a thing. And I don't know. It just feels like it's just been here way longer than it has when you think about
Oh,
it.
well, in terms of that, yes, it does feel like it's been here a lot longer than what
Yeah.
it's been. But the point I'm trying to make is that, you can't get away with the shit you once were able to because social media has a way of finding out any information that it wants and making it public. And that's where we see a lot of whistleblowers now more than what we ever did before in the past. I mean, if you think about it, Julian Assange was the first one to really bring not only social media to the forefront, but then also whistleblowers.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you remember, that was 5-6 years ago.
It's been a minute.
So it hasn't even been, it really hasn't been that long. So now that you're seeing more and more corruption going on in our government, social media has done a good job, if it's not censored or suppressed, of being able to see for your own eyes, and you
Right.
kind of make that judgment on what you think is going on. Whereas before in the past, you didn't have that ability to do that. So people are starting to do their due diligence and kind of researching things and finding things out on their own. But here's the problem. The left wants to call the right that does that work conspiracy theorists. Alex Jones is a perfect example of the left doing that, with him. And believe it or not, he was right about
He's been right about a lot more than people give him credit for.
well, Sandy Hook is the one that got him in trouble. But, I mean, for the most part, the guy has been on par with everything that he says that has aligned
Yeah.
with everything that's happened in the future. Again, with the mask mandates, he
Well,
was completely right about this.
That's the problem, though. When your mind is oriented toward everything's a conspiracy, like, yeah, you're going to be right a lot, but you're also going to be wrong a lot as well.
Well, this is true.
And what
yes.
people do is like point out your misses and ignore your hits, and it's
This-
like,
well, the thing with Alex Jones is he went a little too far with Sandy Hook. That was my issue, and that's what turned me off from watching him anymore. And I get it, sometimes we go a little too far with conspiracy theories.
yeah, I'm seeing it with the Maui space lasers right
Oh
now.
my
like,
God,
I've got constant videos talking about, oh well, look, this thing's tuned to a certain frequency that doesn't burn blue objects. Then they show you a bunch of clips of blue objects not being burnt or not being incinerated,
Well-
and it's like, yeah, but I could probably take that same footage, and since you're seeing the hits and you're ignoring the misses. You could probably say, okay, well, it's not burning red things, and you go through the same footage and find a bunch of red things that weren't burnt. Like it's
Right.
like, I don't know. That seems really far fetched. Like it's going to take a lot more. It's like we say, like they say, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. It's
Yeah.
like you got to really bring some proof if you're gonna show me that one. I don't know. Now I'm more apt to say in terms of the Maui fires. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but it seems a lot more to do with straight up incompetence. They say never attribute to malice what you can attribute to malice, or what you can attribute to incompetence.
Right.
And what I'm seeing is like government officials dropping the ball time after time after time after time after time, and then trying to control things in the meantime, and it looks really fucking shady. It looks suspicious as hell.
My thoughts on Maui is this: poor infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
A what structure?
Poor infrastructure. It just the infrastructure in the islands is not the best. It never has been.
Yeah.
I mean, look
I've
at
never been there. I don't know anything.
Well, you
about
don't
it.
have to
Like,
go there to
yeah,
understand that,
do
but
you,
just
what do you know about that?
just the poor power lines. Like they couldn't even send out a message or a mass alert to the public to let them know that there was a wildfire that was going on.
Couldn't or didn't?
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't want to misquote that, but
I've heard both.
there was a lot of people saying that they didn't receive anything either through text, phone call, or social media about the wildfires, and it's just like, is it really the infrastructure that is broken here because of power lines? Now, the story that I've seen or I've been told that it was a set of power lines that started this whole debacle with the fires over there.
I think that's the official narrative
Right.
currently.
And
I don't know. That's the problem. They lie to us so much. How do we know even that?
But even if you look at, I mean, if you can go back and look at other documentaries about the islands and so forth, unless it's in a rich area, okay, it's not really well maintained. A lot of these areas are not. Hawaii is a
that's,
very, very poor,
that's a good
poor state.
That's a good point, because they talk about all the time. Well, the rich people's houses didn't burn up in the fire. Like, that may be true, but also if you have money, you also have the ability to build more infrastructure and build your things a little more resilient against these things. Like, you're able to build your property in such a way,
Right.
or maintain your property in such a way where, like, if you have the big example that you always hear is the Forest Service. They don't go in and clear up all the underbrush and stuff, so we get these major wildfires that take over everything. It's like,
Well, if you look at Hawaii, okay, when you think of Hawaii, you think of the tropics, you think of these resorts and beautiful beaches and majestic sceneries and things of that nature, and of course volcanoes. But what a lot of people don't see or hear about is the drugs that are running rampant throughout the islands.
yeah.
It's a very, very poor state. And, that could be said for a lot of places in the U.S., but that's not what's talked about.
Somebody made the point that there's so many crackheads there. You don't need a space laser to burn the place to the ground. All you got to do is give $20 in a gas can to a crackhead. They've already got the lighter, and just tell them when and where to put it.
So for me,
There's so much easier ways to go about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of crappy that people only see Hawaii in a certain way when they don't really take a look at what. I mean, actually get on YouTube and just watch videos about the average town or city within Hawaii, and it's not as glamorous as what travel channels and other places deem it to be, because everything that you're talking about or suggest that you see is just on the coastal lines.
Kind of like when you see people talking about my vacation to Tijuana, and it looks so beautiful, but that's just,
and it's a shithole.
That's just the tourist side, and then you go just any bit outside of it, and it looks like total crap.
But that can be said for a lot of places, and within the United States. Perfect example. I mean, you go to the beaches of Florida, and as soon as you go 20 miles inland, it's not as nice as what they would paint it to be. Yeah. And I only know that because I've done a lot of traveling over the years, and I used to live in Florida.
I'm gonna grab this chat too. Rico says, now the historical issue with Maui real estate adventures is a thing in the past, but truth is usually somewhere in the middle, a bare minimum of taking advantage of a tragedy. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, this conspiracy theories are saying, hey, we've got this situation in Maui where the government's coming in and dropping space lasers, and then because the real estate companies want that property to develop it, and more than likely the better explanation, the Occam's razor description of this would be, okay, we've got severe incompetence on the part of the government, and we've got also very interested property developers that are taking advantage of a situation, and they're ready to jump on. Like those guys got to get in there and move, and they got to be ruthless, because if they don't, somebody will.
I believe that there's a very old tribe that they were talking about that wouldn't give up part of their land for developers to come in and build their buildings, I guess, is what I heard. It's also the same tribe that has the oldest tree that's on the island. I don't think it burned up. I think it came close, but it's still living.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Isn't it amazing how many people became wildfire experts when this?
Oh my God!
Like, everybody's like, that's not how fire burns. Fire burns and would do this and this.
Like,
and this.
how many fire marshal bills have we got now?
I know. It's like all the people that were in your feed that were once COVID experts, now they're fire experts.
Oh my God, that's so true.
It's crazy. And because of the Trump indictments, now they're all
legal experts,
legal scholars and experts. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so blessed that I have this community of
got everybody with the PhD on their wall for wildfires.
Oh my God! Maybe that's
indictments.
Maybe that's a skit we need to do with PhDs on the wall for all these major issues that keep coming up.
So every time we have a certain conversation or topic about this, we'll throw up in the bottom right-hand corner our little diploma from whatever institution we got this crazy bullshit from.
Yeah.
That
would be hilarious if we had a producer that could put that shit up on the fly. That would be hilarious. but that's why when we talk about these things, we never come at it from a position of like, oh yeah, we're professionals and we know how these things often go. We're just asking questions like, okay, this seems weird to me. I don't know. Maybe there's an explanation for it, in hopes that maybe somebody will say, oh, well, there's a perfectly good explanation for this that on its surface seems kind of weird, but it happens all the time. Here's some examples.
But also correct us if we're wrong, but don't be a dick and start attacking us. That's where, we'll jump in the comments and be a dick back. But, I mean, it's a conversation. For me, what this ought to tell people, this shows you are, I guess, limited knowledge of what's going on in the world, and then obviously if you have more information than what
Yeah.
we do, educate us, but don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, we're just here
The,
trying
the
to
social discord is
make
what needs
sense
to,
of
you
shit
know,
as
right.
you know. Yeah,
So it's interesting because it's like Hawaii never gets any credit for anything. And the one time they do is when Joe Biden is asked about the wildfires, no comment. And then the motherfucker's out on the beach during vacation and then goes to this, I guess, I don't know if it was just I don't know what it was that they were having. So I guess a memorial for the victims.
yeah,
And he was caught sleeping during the damn thing.
yeah.
Like
yeah,
I don't feel bad for Biden because the dude's 80 years old.
Yeah,
He needs to
yeah.
be in a wheelchair with the blanket over his lap, enjoying the rest of his life, whatever's left. This guy does
Do you
not
love
need
how
to be in
strong-
political power.
You love how strong that imagery is, because I was thinking the same exact thing, and it's because I've heard it on many shows say it.
Oh yeah,
Have you noticed that? Where
No.
did you get that imagery from?
that's just kind of what I've associated old people with. Is sitting like staring out the window in a wheelchair with the
But it's
with
just
one of those
another example of like gross
blankets that
government
grandma makes you.
incompetence. like it's ridiculous. And I think honestly, Biden's not going to run again. There's no way. And I feel like his family's come to him and said, "Listen, you're not running again." And
Well-
he's almost, because it's like there was a time when he was like seemed a little more engaged, and now he's just almost disconnected. Like he's just given the bare minimum. Not to say he was giving his maximum before, but he's kind of given the bare minimum. And when you compare Biden today to Biden circa 1990, it's like a whole different person. Like, it's
I'm trying to
ridiculous.
think of what president said the presidency ages you by 8 years if you're in the office for 4.
Yeah.
Who was that? It was a former president. But anyways, look at it. I've actually seen this. If you go back and you look at photos of Bush 1 and 2 before they entered into office,
Mhm.
and then when they were done with their term, look how much they have just progressively have aged. Obama was the same way.
Yeah.
Obama was a great looking guy. I mean, he had wouldn't say a full head of hair, but it was all black or brown. And then by the time he left office, he had a lot of gray.
Don't you love the people that think that are like convinced that Biden's just he's the dude wearing a mask? Like, that's not Biden, that's somebody else wearing a mask. And they show you these videos. It's like they just clearly don't have a basic understanding of depth of field on camera angles and basic lighting. It's like I remember I took a video where they were like, "Look, you could see his mask flipping." And then you look at the other person, the person host on the show has the same type of lighting in another scene. It's like, but they cut all that out, and they're like, "He's got a mask on." No, it's just harsh lighting because the lighting tech didn't know what the hell he was doing. It's like,
Now,
it's crazy.
Becky said
But-
Abe Lincoln after 4 years, so I don't know if it was Abe Lincoln that
What
made
was
that
it?
comment or it had aged after 4
Well,
years.
we'll lean on your expertise as a teacher there, Lincoln,
Yeah.
after 4 years.
I know a president has said it. It ages you very rapidly because all the stress that kind of comes with it.
Yeah, Biden deserves nothing. She says Biden deserves nothing good. He's a piece of shit.
So let me ask you something.
I don't know. I disagree with that. I think he's just an old. I mean, yeah, he's probably got some Biden crime family shit going on, but like at some point, you're just an old coot, and you need to sit on like you said, like on a wheelchair with a blanket on your lap,
Staring out the
it
window, watching the grass grow.
It feels like elder abuse what they're doing to this guy right now, and I can't get
Yeah.
mad at like what are you gonna do? Get up and go up and punch an old man in its wheel? Then who's the a-hole?
Well, it kind of, if you remember back during the G8 summit,
Yeah.
he got lost in the coffee shop. Remember that?
Yeah, I
And
remember.
then during, what was it? He was at the, what is the one where everybody shows up from different nations in New York?
I don't know.
Shit, yeah, you do.
If you said it, I'll remember, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, I cannot remember the name of it. Anyways, he was caught falling asleep during that.
Yeah.
And then one of his aides had to come over and wake him up.
You
what is that
know, it's
place?
amazing though. He speaks so coherently on his Twitter feed, his X feed. It's so.
Oh, yeah, because his publicist
so
is
coherent.
wonderful and 40 years
no,
younger.
Anthony, it's him doing it. He's typing those messages himself. There is not nobody else but him. He's got control of the keyboard clearly.
Okay. So well, let me yeah, right.
Sarcasm, folks.
I know.
Sarcasm.
So let me ask you this. Did you watch or hear any of the Republican debate at all?
I heard minor clips, but nothing major.
Do you know who's running?
I know a few people who are running. Yes.
Okay. What are
Are
your
you
thoughts?
are you asking me to name who all I know?
No. I
Okay.
mean, no. Who do you think out of all the ones that are running can even compete with Trump?
Vivek.
Yeah.
That's it.
What are your thoughts on him?
I think he's As far as a politician goes, as far like he's got that young, can-do spirit, and he seems really knowledgeable on.
He reminds me of Barack Obama.
He does. He's got a lot of Barack Obama in him, and if you remember, Barack Obama kind of came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden he was president, and people are like, "What happened here?" I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean,
now,
he was in politics.
If you're
Vivek
asking me,
isn't.
if you're asking me as an anarchist, I would say I don't really give a shit who's taking and spending my tax money. But if I absolutely had a gun to my head and had to choose, I would probably go with Vivek over anybody else in the field right now.
DeSantis, now.
including Trump. I would probably go with him over Trump even. But the reason that Trump interests me is because of the bull in the china shop style. And that's
That's a shit
again,
show we all love watching.
Again, from an anarchist standpoint, go in there and break it, bud. Let's just see what happens. But I know that it's not going to be just broken and never repaired.
Here's the thing about Trump, okay? And he seems to have calmed down a little bit since the first time he ran, which I was kind of hoping to see.
He does seem to have some better advisors this time around.
Yes, which is good. And that was the one thing I wanted to see change with Trump's second run at this, or I guess now third run at the political office of president.
Third time's a charm.
Right. So here's the thing. I thought him turning himself in was going to be, this is the end all things for, him running for 2024. It backfired.
Oh, everybody knew it.
The memes.
Everybody knew it.
The popularity he has gained. And I heard this recently on another podcast and it makes sense, but he's now gained a lot of voters in the black community because they can relate to that mugshot.
To being falsely accused and arrested for it? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, this didn't go the way that the left thought it was going to go.
Well, the best thing I've heard is that this is the one picture that both sides can agree on. The one picture that both sides love. The left loves it because, look, he's finally in jail. We told you he was a criminal. And then the right loves it because now he's a martyr for the cause. It's like, and it's like, it's nice seeing everybody holding hands and getting along for once. I think they're skipping too.
But what was interesting is that if you look back at all the people that were indicted along with Trump, and I never thought about this, but everybody. Now, when you take a mugshot, you got a serious looking face. You're disappointed. You're sad that you're, this is embarrassing, and you don't have a smile. Every single person that's been indicted's got a smile on their face. I'm like, do they know something that we don't know here? Because that's odd.
Do you think that's possible?
I do.
Maybe there's some play going to happen.
Yep.
They seem to just give in so easily. Whereas I've heard people say, well, okay, like Dan Bongino was talking about how. Trump should have just allowed them to go ahead and just book him and put him in, just let them make the next move and see what's going to happen. He said,
Tim Pool said that he ought to stay in jail and let this kind of marinate for a while.
That's kind of what Dan Bongino was saying too.
Kind of riled up
Tim Pool played the clip by Dan Bongino as well.
Yeah.
So it's like interesting to see because I listen to both of those guys, and it's just interesting to see everybody's different takes on how they would have handled it. And I'm just curious why, knowing everything we know about Trump, why is he handling it this way? Like, because he seems a lot more calculating this time around, and I'm not really sure what's going on. Like you said, everybody else is smiling in their photos. Like, what are we missing?
That was a little odd to me.
What are we missing here? I mean, everybody knew on the right, at least, that photo, that mugshot, and smart people on the left knew that as well. That's why they didn't take mugshots before.
Hell, half of Antifa can relate to Trump now. Think about that. He's single-handedly uniting the United States and not even knowing it.
That's great.
But here's the thing, though, is that, yes, they're all smiling. That's fine and great. I think originally they had set the trial date for like March 24th. Now they've moved it up to September, I think, 8th. Or no, it's sometime in September. Like, they're trying to push this fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're wanting to do it before they get into the, longer into the not midterms, but the presidential what's the word I'm looking for? I guess maybe before the next debate or some shit like that. And it kind of makes sense. And it really kind of shows you what the DOJ is trying to do, or Biden's DOJ is trying to do with Trump. Now, here's the thing. The Biden DOJ has now gone after Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not, I don't know what's going on here. And that's why it kind of makes me wonder.
They don't have that control over Twitter like they used to have.
Oh, I know. He's going after, not Elon Musk, he's going after SpaceX.
SpaceX
is what's currently going on right now.
That's a weird story.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
that nobody gives a shit about.
Well, he's not letting foreigners come in and work for SpaceX, only Americans.
While being told that it's illegal for him to do so.
Right. I mean,
He's a racist who's following the law. He's a law-abiding racist.
He's following the law. That's what the law says. For international arms reasons, you can't let somebody from another country who's not a citizen work for your company that builds rockets.
Yeah.
This is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This has been
Hey, quick interruption.
a law.
Quick interruption. I just want to say I don't know how you guys have been enjoying the production quality of the show or not, but I'm really loving this little device right here. It's a Elgato Stream Deck. This is not an ad for them, but it's been so great for me. I've got everything programmed in, and I'm just able to hit the buttons and jump between. It's been very smooth for me, and I'm not getting distracted.
Boy, that was a red ball squirrel moment for you.
I know. It's been really cool. But the second thing is that I wanted to say I was just sitting here thinking, man, I really miss these conversations. This has been a long time coming. I love having these conversations with you and with everybody else, and it's nice to kind of discuss the things that we've all been hearing about, and I hate that it's kind of a fire hose of stories that we're just kind of like rapid fire going by, but it's cool that we get to have these, and it's nice to be. I just miss it. I miss you, buddy.
Right.
I miss you, buddy. That's all I'm saying.
We're not experts on these topics. We're just two guys that if you would have approached your friends at work or neighbors, these are the kind of discussions you would have. Some things we're a little bit more educated on than others, clearly. And
ironically, it's the reason that I started the show to begin with, is because I was having conversations with the guys at work just like this. And I was like, these would be really cool as podcasts.
So that's what people need to understand, that not everything that we discuss, we're going to get so in depth with analysis and charts and graphs and all this bullshit. That's not what we do. This is a regular water cooler kind of talk, that you would hear people at work, or at least some of the guys that I've talked to at work, and just your average everyday person, you know. I mean,
just like there's no such thing as a life balance, life balance. There's no balance, but I do try my best. I don't know what your position is on this, but I do try my best to bring some kind of balance to all the stories we hear, because I do have the opportunity and the ability to listen to a wide range of topics and a wide range of voices on those topics. You know, whether it's the hard left progressive all the way to the farthest right person, maybe not farthest right, but right wing, left wing, all in between and everything. I try to bring a balanced approach to this as much as I can, because I know people have a tendency to get extra worked up. Oh my God, this is the worst thing that's happened since ever. And it's like, well, maybe have you considered this? Or oh my God, this conspiracy theory, this. And it's like, well, maybe, but more likely this. It's just, I'm trying to bring people in a little bit, because it's really easy in the world of social media to get so far out there that people look at you like, wait, what? And some of it might be true, but here's the thing. A lot of what I've noticed the battle tactic has been from those who are in charge is they can now put out false information. Go ahead and let people believe that. Let's go ahead and just leak this thing to make it look like, there's ways you can start to feed those conspiracies so that those take on a life of their own. People discredit you. They don't look at you. They don't take you seriously. Even though the official source said this. Well, maybe, but who's giving this official source? I don't know. Just to wrap it up, I just want to say I just try my best to bring more of a balanced approach and try to stay down that lane of reasoning. I don't always get it right, obviously, and
neither one of us.
Nobody ever does. But I mean, for you, what is it for you that you get out of this?
For me, it's a number of things. First, it's learning about where our society is currently going. What that looks like, I don't know. It depends. What I get from this is just knowing that we can have a regular conversation. We're not the big YouTubers. We're not as intelligent as some of the YouTubers that you see, like Glenn Beck and so forth, and Dan Bongino and Tim Pool. That's not what we're here to do.
And to be fair, all of those people would say, "Oh, we're not that intelligent. We're just regular guys doing a regular show too."
That's their job. Their job is to get on social media, do a podcast. They have to deliver some sort of facts to back their claims.
Yeah. For sure.
We give you facts, but sometimes we also get it wrong. We can admit it when we're wrong, and we can backtrack what we were saying. But in the same sense, too, it's the discord of the conversation that has to be had to say, hey, well, have you guys thought about this? Well, I think you've got this wrong. Okay, then explain it to me. The problem that we live in right now is the way that people approach us is they want to call us names. That's the first approach that they take. Then the second one, then the second one is with the names comes, obviously the, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Well, the funny thing is
It-
when you make a point online and they assume, because you agree with one specific point,
Mhm.
that you must agree with all of those points that side agrees with.
Yes, that's true. But I think it also shows kind of like our intelligent level as far as what that topic is about. Again, some of us are more knowledgeable about cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
You know a lot more about crypto than I do. Obviously, I've kind of been in this sphere now for a little bit, but the same thing with social issues, with politics, with religion. We don't have all the answers. We're never going to have all the answers. We don't have things to sit here and dissect everything that we're talking about.
Nor do we have
to
the
make
time.
our point. No, this is just a conversation that you would have with the average person, the average friend, the average family member, without getting into a heated conversation. Because there's a lot of things that we agree on, but then there's also some things that we disagree on, namely religion.
Well, there's a lot-
religion is not something we've ever discussed on the show.
Right. Well,
And
I have, but you have.
well, you have, but that's not a conversation
you and I haven't.
have never had.
Yeah.
And I think what that boils down to is that my stance and I know yours. But if we can have the conversation, we can come to some sort of agreement of understanding, well, that's your point of view. This is my point of view. You don't walk all over me or persecute me because I'm a Christian or whatever the case might be. And I don't walk all over you because you're an atheist.
Wait, who told you that?
Because, no,
Wait,
I'm just
who
saying.
told you I'm
that's-
an atheist?
I know, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that if a Christian and an atheist can come together and sit down and have these conversations, even though we don't discuss things, religiously, there's so many other things we can talk about.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be always about religion
And
what
so
we
many other
disagree
things
with.
we agree on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what I find this to be so beautiful is that, yes, we align with a lot of similarities, but then we also don't align with a lot of things, and that's okay. And what I hope that people can take away from these conversations is that, yes, we're educated in some departments, others not so much, but we're willing to have the conversation. We're willing to listen to one another. Even with our differences as far as, political or, you're an atheist, I'm a Christian, but not even so much as a Christian, but as somebody who is more so conservative. I think you have a lot of conservative values to you
For sure.
than the left.
Can I try to summarize what you just said there?
Yeah,
I-
go ahead.
I think what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing is what we're doing is just trying to model for people the conversations can be had despite our disagreements. We're modeling that behavior for
Yeah.
people.
Okay.
Is-
Yeah,
Is that
that's pretty much it.
okay? Yeah, I mean, and that's great. That's why I try to have people on that disagree with us because I
I
want
was
to show.
eventually going to get to that point, but
Oh,
I was
just-
taking the scenic route.
Oh no, you're doing great. It's amazing. No, it's kind of cool having friends that I disagree with and stuff. And
But I think even if we weren't friends,
I
and
want to have those conversations.
And
know?
here's the thing: is that even if we weren't friends, because you got to remember, at some point we never knew each other until we did the whole Julian Assange, WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks.
We didn't know each other.
Yeah.
We knew each other through a mutual friend, and that was it. And it's amazing how two people from two different worlds that we live in kind of came together to have this show. And over time, you kind of learn, man, we got a lot more in common than we realized. So that's a true testament that if you don't have those conversations with random people, you're never going to know if these are the kind of people that are going to be good friends. You really just don't know until you have those conversations.
Oh, I haven't heard this term. Rico says that's been something they've gotten really good at. We call them truther traps. People jump on them without doing basic reverse image searches and then lose credibility. Yep. Well done, wrongdoers. Well done. Yeah, I haven't heard that term, truther traps.
Yeah.
But it's a good descriptor for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. That's anyway. Yeah. All that to say, I just wanted. There's a lot of things that we do and we react to as a society in general because we are constantly being fed this the world's burning down, pants are on fire, we're all going to die narrative. And
Right.
it gets people's adrenals going, it gets people all stressed out, it gets people thinking that if they don't act now, they're just, their whole world is crumbling before them. And it's like, well, not really. Not really. There's a reason that they want you to feel that way. And people act irrationally in those scenarios. And when I think shows like ours, when you can kind of take that down a notch
Right.
and really start to think it through without having your flight response being triggered, I think you actually might have a lot more impact on on the narrative. I'm not really sure how to finish that sentence, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
No, I do. And the one thing I've learned too is that by doing this show and having these conversations, it's done two things. The first thing it's done, it's growing me as an individual and the way I view the world. Okay.
Yeah.
Second thing,
Same here.
the second thing would be when we take a break from the show, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
When we have not been on here for the last 8 months, it's given us a time to focus in on other things. A lot of these podcasters don't have that because this is their source of income. So every day they're inundating themselves mentally with all the negative shit that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
There was a point where I came to you and I told you privately that I can't do this anymore. This is just, it's always negative shit. This has been a while back. And I said, no, I think it was something to the terms of, let's not talk about social issues or politics or something, because I was getting so burned out with it.
Yeah.
And it's so negative.
Yeah.
Like
Every day was something new, some
Right.
new assault on your senses.
So it's like, I can't keep going down this path, man, because I'm not built for this. I'm not built for doing the podcast life day in and day out. Now, once a week, once a month, that's fine. I'm good with that. But mentally, it does take its toll over the 5.5 years we've been doing this. That's a long time in podcast years. You might as well be 30 at this point, you know? I mean, and it ages you. And that's the one thing I did was I kind of stepped back from having these discussions, but still paying attention to what was going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can sit here and read an article or see something that somebody posts, have my thought about it, have my feeling about it, then move on. The difference was with having these conversations so frequently like we were doing, I was leaving here after talking about this shit for an hour and it would stay with me for the next day or two. Whereas if I'm reading something online, I can just keep scrolling, you know? And it's not to say that I'm trying to avoid the issues that are going on in the world. It's just, I know my mental state and I know that I can only take so much before it affects me, and then it spills over into my personal life. It spills over to my work life. Yeah. And I had to step back. But so over the last 8 months, it's really kind of given me a chance to focus in on other things that we've had going on in our lives, which has been good. But then this has kind of brought me back because we haven't discussed anything.
Well, there's a certain level of maturity that comes with knowing your own limitations. Like we
Right.
said, we can't handle the problems of 8 billion people in the world, so we focus on what we can focus on.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what you're talking about. Is like when we step back, like I've been able to develop a pretty good business flipping couches that pays my bills,
Right.
at least to some level, and I can kind of supplement with some other little things. And I couldn't do that while also trying to continue to develop a show and try to stay on top of everything. And so I needed to do that. I needed to get that in place and get that machine working properly.
Yep.
Before I could have the mental energy to step back and go, okay, let's refocus on the wider world around us. And part of that moving outside of my, home is Chase Matheson and I are getting ready to launch a show called the Patriot Punkcast coming up.
I haven't even talked to him it's been months since I've even talked to him or Chase.
Yeah, he and I have been in contact a lot. We've been working together over the summer and stuff. We did some landscaping stuff, and we've just been trying to bat ideas back and forth. So we're getting ready to launch that. I think it's September 17th is when we launch the Patriot Punkcast. And the goal of that is to take a much more focused focus on local issues.
Yeah.
And then how those things apply to the wider story. You know, it's more taking it, because we're not going to compete with the national big wigs. We're not going to compete with, and I'm not interested in doing that. I don't care about national politics as much because I only have so much control, right? I only have so much influence. I don't. But we're having a lot more fun making, and if you've followed my TikToks and things like that, I've been doing a lot more.
I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah, well, or short videos, my short form videos. I've been doing a lot more focusing on local politicians and stuff, namely an Eddie Ferris, a corrupt politician from Cookeville.
See, that
And-
has nothing to do with me, so
Right,
I can't
yeah.
contribute to none of that.
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Which
so.
is the point is I'm just trying to focus on more local stuff that we can
Right,
actually
yeah.
have an impact. Like if we can get somebody out of office that's not doing their job right, or is doing corrupt stuff, I think that's I think it's a win. I think that's
Yep.
something that's within our control. Like we can actually focus our energies on that.
Yep.
If I spent the same amount of time making those memes about some national politician, I might get a few people to watch it, but I'm not going to go viral on that stuff. I don't. Nobody's going to ever notice.
I don't know. Look what happened to the cops over in Laverne.
Yeah, well, that's still for us.
You
That's a
know,
local issue.
so,
That's,
yeah.
that's a local issue for us that we should have been more positioned to cover.
Yeah.
We weren't, but we should have been.
So it seems like that's obviously that's more local. This is more just kind of shooting the shit, kind of
Yeah.
what's going on in the world. So
Yeah. We for as far as this show, I want to keep doing that. Sometimes have the conversations between me and you, but I also want to have the interviews and the discussions. I'm working on lining up a discussion with a couple guys. One's pretty much all capitalist, and the other one's all communist or socialist or what have you.
right,
And they've been having a discussion, which is it's really interesting the way this discussion's been playing out in the chats. They're in the messenger chats, and they're having this conversation, and the way they've kind of self-organized this conversation so far is one guy just has a continuous running list of all the questions that people are asking this socialist guy. And then the socialist guy has agreed to answer the questions, but only one at a time. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, that's neat the way they're taking an otherwise chaotic chat room and turning it into something a little more. And so I asked them both if they'd like to come on the show and discuss. I could be a moderator because I'm somewhere in between. I honestly think the world will operate in absence of government. It'll operate as some mix of some variant of capitalists and socialists all kind of intermingled, and I'm kind of in the middle of the road on both of those. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to have them on and discuss that. Now that's the kind of conversations that I feel like we need to have more of, is like the ideological, like let's really put your ideas to the test and see what, against somebody who's of the opposite side or what have you, and see where we're at. I don't know. I'm rambling, but let's just hit some chats. What do you say?
yeah. Let's look at the chats, and then we'll get into some reactions. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah,
either.
we're gonna do the reactions.
Yeah, you want to
outside of
stick
this.
around for this?
Well,
'cause-
we're gonna do them outside of this.
Oh,
and
we are.
Yeah,
Well, damn. Let's do one at least live.
separate episode. You want to do one live?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. Let's see. That's I already read that. Let me see. Okay. Wife and kids just got back from the doctor. You're officially losing easily 96% of my attention. Fantastic. I love to hear it. My feed is off due to needing a pause. Don't feel bad about needing to stop doing this for a while, Anthony. I said, fuck it after 5 episodes of my thing. You made it way further. #hero.
Well, like I said, not everybody's built for this, and I do credit the ones that can do this day in and day out. It's not easy mentally. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You're built differently. I'm not built that way.
Yeah.
And I've learned that over the course of the 5 years we've been doing this, and that's okay. And I think if we did it once a month, I would be okay with that, and
I have noticed a lot of folks that go online and they go hard on all this stuff.
yeah.
And knowing their personal life and their personal stories, you just know that they are doing this as a way to avoid dealing with their own personal stuff.
Yeah, I gotta take care of home first
You know
before
what
I
I'm
can do
saying?
anything else.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying you're doing it as a way to avoid, but you got a pretty healthy balance.
Right.
when to say, okay,
I listen
I
to
need to
myself.
yeah, but there's some people that really, really want desperately to not have the focus on them or their personal life, and they're out here telling everybody else how we should run ours. And anybody who's paying attention with any level of maturity knows when you look at somebody whose life is a fucking mess, like, they got some issues they need to deal with. I don't really
Yeah.
I don't take any amount of, like, you can say whatever you want about how I should run my life, but obviously you can't run your own. And it's just, I've noticed that a lot, in so far as it's just, I don't know, it changes the way I have conversations with people. And I'm not going to get deeply engaged. If somebody's got their life together, like they're perfectly happy family, or, as far as I can tell.
I don't think everybody's got their life in order.
You know what I mean? Or in better order than the average. Let's say that. Like, you can kind of tell, and you want to look at the behaviors they model, and like, okay, so they're saying this and they're acting this way and their life looks this way, and like, okay, I could take a little bit of that earns a little credibility from me.
Yeah, since we took a little hiatus and we kind of focused in on what we needed to do for ourselves, my life has drastically improved. Now, obviously, I'm still working quite a bit, but from a relationship standpoint, what are you doing?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, it's messing with my audio.
I know it was.
Oh.
Mine too.
Anyways, things are better. Like, I'm really kind of engaged with what I have going on in my personal life. I'm dealing with certain things and certain people a certain way, whereas I didn't before. And I think a lot of that is because I've been so dead set on where I'm at in my life, my age, and where I want my life to continue to go. And I need to go down this path that I've set for myself.
Yeah.
That is what I consider to the straight and narrow. And if I keep letting people into my life and not handling certain things a certain way, and I continue letting people do what they want to do, I'm not really achieving anything that I set out to do, because then I feel like I'm still getting I'm becoming not really a pushover, but I'm willing to accept more than what I should, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've kind of focused in on what's important, what's valuable to me, in my eyes, in my opinion, I've now segregated myself from a lot of people, friends, family. I've got to this point where I'd look at relationships with family, and this is going to sound bad, but I look at relationships with my family and friends as investments. If I've invested in you for years,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been no return, no reciprocation, I'm done. And it's not, I'm mad. It's not that I'm upset.
You're just accepting.
I'm accepting
what
the
it is.
fact that I am tired of being that individual who puts forth the effort
Mm-hmm.
to call, text, visit, and I never hear from you, and I never see you. You never make that effort. You have now become a poor investment, in my opinion. Doesn't mean I don't love these people. Doesn't mean I don't care about them. Doesn't mean that I don't want good things for them.
It doesn't mean
It's
you can't
understanding-
necessarily turn around that, if they do start putting in, it doesn't mean you necessarily are that they're out of your life
My
forever,
door
right?
is always my door is always open. I mean, the problem is that a lot of people have become complacent in my life and accepting the fact that I'm willing to do all the work in this relationship, whether it's family or friends. And I'm not doing that anymore because
That's a great perspective.
it really burnt me out.
Yeah.
With everything else I've got going on in my life, if I'm a true friend, I'm going to make the effort to come see you, call you, text you, visit you, whatever the case might be. But then I started to sit back a little bit and realize that I'm the one doing all the work here in this relationship. And I understand that some people that over time become used to that. They're used to me being this person, but I'm changing.
Yeah.
I need to devote more of my attention to the people that are going to invest in me as much as I invest in them. And if you're not investing in me, I'm not going to invest in you. It's just like with anything, like a business model. You're not going to invest into a company that you've put your hard-earned dollars into and you're seeing no return.
Yeah, it's like supporting a Kickstarter that you never get the product for.
Right. So I had to really kind of step back, and I've done this over the last 8 months that we've been gone from the show. And I've had to look at people, and I look at things, and I kind of reflect, and I say, okay, that time that I've invested in these folks who don't invest in me, who don't, and I don't think it's that they don't care about me or they don't want to have anything to do with me. I think it's just they've adapted to the life of, well, he's the one that reaches out. I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Again, complacency. I don't like that. So now I've kind of just stepped back, taken a breather. That energy that I've once invested in others, I've now invested in myself and my family.
Yeah, or the people that do put in the effort.
Right.
Right.
And I've noticed that there's been a tremendous weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, I can't begin to tell you how much that burden has now been lifted off of me because I've understood, like, I'm tired of the one that's always getting in my car and driving 45 minutes to go see friends. They have made that, since I've been moved out of a certain town that I lived in, they have maybe made the trek 2-3 times in the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I got to thinking about that. I'm like, that's just not, I just don't like this. I don't like this feeling.
It sucks. The other night when I texted you, I said, I'm like 2 minutes from your house. I was in the same neighborhood delivering your couch.
I'm not talking about
Oh, I know.
you.
I know. No, I'm just telling you. I was just, it really sucks because I was like, hey, are you home? You're like, no, not yet. I'm like, fuck.
It's just
I do enjoy coming to see you, and just it's that like it's you got to pay attention to how people make you feel when you think about them. Like, you know, that's the old test. Like, if somebody's calling you on the phone, what is your initial, like, what's that first feeling you get? Are you like, oh God? Or are you like, can't wait to answer the phone? Like, whenever I see Anthony Trawick on my phone, I'm like, oh, what's up? I want to talk to Anthony.
This is what it's turned into. Okay. When I call family and friends, they expect to hear from me. But when I hear from them, I automatically think something is wrong. That ought to tell you something.
Oh, yes, that's yeah.
If you're calling me out of the blue, and my first initial reaction is everything okay?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's not healthy.
No.
Because I'm associating with you with something negative. I'm associating with you with something bad has happened in our life with somebody we know, and that's why you're reaching out to me, because you don't ever reach out to me for any other reason.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
This is not good if I'm thinking that way. And there's a lot of things that have happened throughout my life over the last 8 months that I've just I've stepped back, I reflected, and I've Made these changes. I don't go on social media and say, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I've just done it. And I tell you what, it's just like I've had one friend that reached out to me, hey man, I hadn't heard from you. Is everything okay? Yeah, everything's fine. Good to hear from you. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why are people reaching out to me saying, is everything okay? Maybe that ought to be an indication to you that you're the one that's not reaching out to me. And why does it have to take for me not?
Or that person's gotten used to you the way.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, why do you think if something is automatically wrong because you don't hear from me anymore? Well,
Right.
Maybe think about how many. I mean, look, I'm not trying to make this about me. I'm just trying to make this about the way we treat one another as people.
No, I don't think it's about you at all. I think it's a great it's a great message. I think that a lot of folks don't seem to.
It's a conversation that's not had.
Again, you're modeling this behavior of how you interact with the world around you,
right?
And there's too many people think they got to do. They have to be all things to all people, and everybody's got to like me, and everybody's got to. Okay, I'm trying to do my best to make you happy, and it's like at some point you're like, again, you can only handle so many things,
right?
So you only have so much attention span. You only have so much time in a day. You need to be very particular, about where you focus that energy.
And even if it's just friends just reaching out, hey man, hadn't heard from you in a while, hope things are good, hope the family's good, I would embrace that. I would respond back, hey, things are great, thanks for reaching out. That's something I've probably never had in my life, because for so many years I've been the one that takes the trips, that makes the investment for the holidays, and calls people and texts people, and hey, how you doing, and this, that, and the other. So I've never not known to have that done in return. And it's like it's a different feeling when people reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, why have we become so complacent to allow people to do this? And it's not their fault. I mean, it's just when you get used to this sort of behavior, you kind of adapt to it.
Yeah.
And it's what's sort of expected from that other individual that they do all the time, but it's also kind of nice to have it in return is all I'm saying.
What's interesting, I don't know how those watching the show feel about this, but for me, of all the topics we've already covered in the short time, I feel like this is the most important one. Like, we could talk about all the current events and whatnot. Those are fun to discuss, the what ifs and the how to's but this right here is something that I think people can take away. They can watch this and listen to this, and they can apply it to their own life immediately. Like, they can start doing this today. Like, this is something that offers some level of power and control over an area in your life that you maybe previously didn't feel like you had control over. Like, you can hear, I can hear your story, and I can hear how you've been approaching this last few months, and hear how it's affected your friendships and your general mental well-being. And I can hear that and go, you know what? That's something I can do. That's something I can do. I can. Maybe you're the person who hasn't been reaching out to somebody in your life, and you're like, well, maybe I should reach out to that person. Or maybe you're the one who's been the one reaching out, and you hear that side of the story. But there's so much value in what you're saying here that it makes it my favorite topic of the whole episode, honestly.
Well, I don't want people to think that I'm being hard about this or coming at this in a sense of, well, I'm pissed off. I'm not.
No, you.
I
didn't.
not upset
I didn't take
with
it.
anybody in my
Yeah.
life that doesn't reach out to me.
Yeah.
I've come to terms, and I'm actually kind of at peace with it. Like, I'm okay because I still feel the same way about my friends and family as I did before. The only difference is that I am kind of reeling things back, and that investment and that those emotions and feelings that I once really invested in them is now going back to my own family. And that's okay. And I should never feel bad for that. So the one thing I hope people take away is that if you're going to approach this, do it from a good place. Don't do it from an angry place. Don't do it from a place of being mad at somebody because they don't reach out.
Right.
Just be okay with it. Just relax. Take that time that you would normally invest in others and invest in yourself, because
Yeah,
you've
and you
got to
can-
be right with yourself first.
Yeah, and you can accept that. You know, that's something you can recognize about your surroundings and not feel like you're being lied to and manipulated and
Yeah.
propagandized. You're like, this is something that you don't have to fact check.
Right.
like you don't need to go to Snopes and find out if it's real or not. Like, like this is something that nobody's going to create a deep fake and try to convince you other. No, these things. These are within your realm of control.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the beauty of it. Like,
Yeah.
you can just accept what it is, treat it accordingly, and you'll be much better for it, I think.
Well, and the other thing that I've kind of done too is I've kind of stepped away from folks that are a little bit hypocritical about things in life, when it pertains to like jobs, relationships. You know,
Like, what do you mean? What comes to mind when you say that?
people preaching one thing and doing another.
Well, I know what hypocritical means, but like specifically, like what comes to
I was thinking, I got to really educate you on this, Daniel Wagner of all people.
No, I don't need a definition of hypocrisy. I'm just curious specifically, like what.
Money, finances, relationships. Like I've got one buddy that is in a relationship that he knows damn well he shouldn't be in, but then yet he's preaching to me about. Well, what all started this was I made a post on Facebook that I was looking for a piece of property down in Florida to be able to rent for a week, and I said my budget was $10,000 for a whole week. That's what I wanted to spend the money on to be able to rent a vacation rental home. I don't want to do a condo. I don't want to do a hotel. I wanted to do a family style home.
Yeah.
I can bring people with me.
Yeah.
And I think you saw that post.
I did. I remember.
That's where it all started from. And it was just like, you're really educating me on my finances, and you know nothing about my life, what I do for work, how much money I make.
Yeah. Telling you
Like-
where you should spend your money.
And I see you doing things that I don't necessarily agree with financially. It's one of the reasons why I don't say anything, because it's none of my business,
Yeah.
for one.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect. That's kind of what kick-started this whole thing. And then relationships. It's like, you know, I've got a buddy of mine that is currently going through a relationship that's not in the best of place, but he continues to stay in this relationship. But then yet is quick to get on social media and tell other people how to maintain and do their relationship with their significant other. I'm like, what are you doing here? You're not in any position to lecture others about relationships when your own home is not even in order. Like, what are you doing here?
Here, take the chats for just a second. I gotta pee.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, I don't have the mouse, so I can't scroll. Anthony's camera is out of focus. Do good. Have not seen you in forever, my friend. I have not been over at Mines at all. I've been just so busy. Great advice. Not sure if he's talking about me or Daniel. Rico said, I second that. Without good relationship, who cares if it's the end of the world? That's true. I mean, you can still, like I said, you can still love each other. You can still have good relationships. I'm not saying that you can't change any of that. I'm just simply saying focus on yourself. Take the time that you've invested in others and really invested, you know, on you and the closest to you. And I guarantee you that your life will simply improve. It's not out of focus now. Okay, it's much clearer. I guess apparently the camera is going in and out of focus. I don't know if it's because of lighting issues or what it is, but
That's all good.
but it's good to see. Where'd he go?
Let me scroll back up a little bit.
Yeah, do good. I have not talked to him in forever, man. Of course, I have not been on Mines.
Yeah, I actually got to meet him down in
Texas.
Austin. In
Yeah.
Austin, yeah, I got to meet him face
Cool.
to face. It's always so cool when I get to like meet. Like I love being able to shake people's hands. One day, Puddin', I'm gonna shake your hand. I swear, we're gonna work this out because she's been with us like forever and ever. She's
Yeah.
like our number one fan, I would say.
She's an OG.
Yeah, between Puddin and Becky, man, they are here at all of our shows all the time, always ready to rock and roll, man. And I appreciate that. We've got a few others that do pop in from time to time, but
Well,
man,
there was a friend of ours.
just something about shaking somebody's hand, like
Okay, to kind of give you a story about that. So Trisha, who was always on the chats, this has been a couple of years ago. She was on here quite a bit. I met her for the first time in Arizona a couple of years ago, and of course, at that time she lived in California. She's good friends with Billy, and so I got to meet her for the first time. So it was great to finally meet somebody who was actually dedicated to watching the show and interacting in the comments. And ever since then, and ever since we first met, every time I go out to Arizona, she always sees us. And my most recent trip back in July, she spent the whole day with us. We went to Arizona, we went to Route 66 and had lunch, and she was with us. And so
it's like we get to find our own tribe across the United States. Like,
it's so
really
cool to
Like,
meet people from all walks of life, and then to meet people, it's like, man, that is so cool. And I've developed a really great relationship with Trisha now. So it's great.
I want to go out with Puddin on one of these photography runs that she goes on, but I don't know if I could get myself up at 4 a.m.
Get all her sunrise photos.
Yeah. I'm usually going to bed about 4 a.m.
I like her.
That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool.
I do like now I don't really interact with her in the comment section, but I see a lot of her stuff, and I like the clouds photos that she takes, and then all the different animals, especially the turtles. Becky loves that. And then the hummingbirds and just the different creatures that she's getting photos of.
Yeah,
but then I've also seen a lot of
stuff out, guys.
Well, I've seen a lot of her work on the local news too. I don't know if you've seen that. A lot of her photos have made the local news, which I think is really cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So it's great to keep up, even though I don't interact with her that much on social media. I do keep up with her. And not in the sense of stalking, but in the sense of, just checking in on people that we knew through the show. So, but yeah, it's pretty neat, man.
I like the little alien, the little alien guy that she's had posting her pictures sometimes. She did a whole series of those where I didn't see that. He was always popping up in different locations and stuff.
Oh, I got to go check that out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
Let's do a music reaction. Let's do one live. What do you guys want to see us react to? Tom McDonald, Adam Calhoun, Dax. Let's see, Oliver Anthony.
Well, I've got 2 videos pulled up. I've got the Tom McDonald one we're gonna do, and then we've got the Oliver Anthony one we're gonna do. And we'll do one live, and we'll do one.
We'll do. Have you heard his new one?
Which one?
I Want to Go Home. It's really good.
Oh, Oliver Anthony's I Want to Go Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that one. Okay.
Let's do that one. That wasn't even in the plan. Okay, let me find it.
You're going to love this song, dude. I kind of got a little teary-eyed. This big man over here broke a tear. Yeah, first time I heard it, I was just like, oh, that hit me right in the feels, dude.
Oh, there it is. I Want to Go, and then Home Oliver Anthony popped up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can get it over here on the screen here. Look at that. Look at that. Like, these buttons are so cool, man. Like, I've got everything programmed into this thing.
Okay, so disclaimer, I've heard the song hundreds of times by now.
Hundreds? Holy shit.
Dude,
is it that good?
You just got to listen. Now, you're not a religious person, but I think it's still going to resonate and hit home with you.
I got plenty of religious songs I appreciate, for sure. I love me some Lifehouse, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. And a Flyleaf. I love Flyleaf for sure. There's so much good music there. Yeah. Just because I'm an atheist don't mean I'm scared of
I know, but I mean,
music.
you're going to love this. It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Well, let me know in the comments there. Has anybody else heard of this particular song or checked it out? If so, what do you think? Let's start recording this as if we're doing a standalone episode, because I'll probably take it and clip it out and
that's fine. Well, we're still live,
as its own episode. So hey, welcome back to another episode of the Unframe of Mind show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom.
And reactions.
Yes, and reactions. And I'm your host, Daniel Wagner.
Hey, Anthony Trewitt.
Hey, what's up, Anthony?
What's going on, man?
It's been a while since we've done a reaction video.
Oh,
and I know at least a third of the people following us followed us because of our reaction videos.
That's crazy.
It's only right that once in a while we put out a reaction.
Yep.
So today what we're going to be reacting to is a second video by Oliver Anthony called I Want to Go Home. He's been huge all of a sudden because of his
Blowing up out of nowhere.
his other song.
Rich Man North of Richmond.
Yeah, and that's and then this is another one in his library that we wanted to check out.
Now, disclaimer, like I said, I've heard this song hundreds of times. So the first time I did hear it, this grown ass man cried a little bit, and I'm a big dude, and it's rare to see me kind of tear up a little bit, but it did. It hit me in the feels harder than I thought it was going to. So.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll trust your judgment on this song, and we'll see what we see here. Let's play Oliver Anthony's "I Want to Go Home."
I want to rewind it.
Let me go to the beginning.
Well, if it weren't for my old dogs and the good Lord, they'd have me strung up in the psych ward. 'Cause every day living in this new world is one too many days to me. Son, we're on the brink of the next world war, and I don't think nobody's praying no more. And I ain't saying I know it for sure. I'm just down on my knees begging the Lord to take me home.
Okay, first thing I want to comment on. Can we just talk about the level of emotion behind his voice, like that carries through the lyrics?
It's so authentic and pure, and I mean, yeah, he's got a great voice. You know, he's even said that he doesn't think that he's a great musician, and it's just, this is so rare. This is one of those moments in time where that when you look back, you know, you hope that music 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now is going to be authentic to some extent, to the level that this was done.
Yeah.
We may not ever see this again. I mean, the guy is just in his backyard with his dogs, and he's singing. He's giving us everything that he has.
Well, he's definitely speaking to something that's going on in the. And I don't know how long ago he wrote this song, but I mean, you know, the fact that he's calling out like he feels like we're on the brink of World War III, and it's felt like that for a while, like Civil War, World War III, all the terrible stuff in the world's going to happen any minute. And we're just constantly in this level of, oh my God, when's it going to, like, I'm almost like want the Band-Aid to be ripped off at this point. I'm like, come on, let's just get this over with so we can move on with our lives and build, you know?
To be honest with you, the first time I heard it, when he said, "I want to go home," I thought he was referencing to like maybe go back home to where he's from. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's not from this area. I didn't know. But then when I went back and listened to it a second, third time,
don't give it away, because I don't know.
Realized what he was saying. So rewind it just like 10 seconds.
Don't tell me how to produce my show. I'll do it myself. I'm just kidding. I'm glad you said that. All right, let's go. Come on, Oliver, sing for us.
On my knees, begging the Lord to take me home. I wanna go home. I don't know which road to go. It's been so long. I just know I didn't used to wake up feeling this way, cussing myself every damn day. There's always some kind of bill to pay. People just doing what the rich man say. I wanna go home.
Okay, what he said there about
just doing
what he said there about always having there's always a bill to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's probably meaning literally, but I kind of almost take that metaphorically too, like almost like what you were talking about. Like you got all these people you're putting investment in, you're paying those bills, so to speak, and they're not you're not getting the return service. You know, you're not getting that. You're just not, like, you're putting everything you have into the world, and you're putting everything you got, and you're just not getting back. It just doesn't feel like it's even worth it at some point.
Well, the one thing I took away from that line is, you know, I can remember growing up that you had bills due by a certain date, mm-hmm. right? And you knew when they were, and you can plan for that, you can budget for it, and so forth. Now, we got bills coming out every single day, whether it's Google Play or, you know, whether it's something to do with our phone or credit card or car payment.
One of your many streaming services.
Whatever. I mean, you have to remember that back then there were certain dates where we had bills that were due. Now it seems like they're almost due every day.
Yeah,
That's
something,
what it kind
yeah.
of seems like to me, or what he's kind of getting at. That's kind of what I took away from
Yeah,
it.
yeah, like
So,
like a nitpicking, like it's constant, always. Like,
It's
oh, geez, what
bills
now?
all the
What now? What
time,
now? Yeah, it's sad when I'm thrilled for a day when I get just junk mail in the mail. like,
I'm with you on that.
like, oh man, yay, it's just junk mail, sweet. All right, let's continue.
To pay. People just doing what the rich man say. I wanna go home.
Hey, I could play this. I know those chords.
4 generations farming the ground. Grandson sells it to a man out of town. And 2 weeks later, trees go down.
Wow.
Only got concrete growing around.
That's so true.
I
Yeah.
wanna go home.
Holy crap, yeah.
I wanna go home.
That's what they're concerned about with.
I don't know which road to go.
Yeah, that's what they're concerned about with the Maui fires and stuff. Is
That-
exactly that. Like,
I
well,
think
not
that
sorry,
was,
not exactly that, but you know,
I think that was probably the most important line of this song, talking about how 4 generations of farming, and then 2 weeks later, you know, somebody in the family sells it off to
Yeah.
you know, people that just want to put up condos and hotels
Yeah,
and
yeah.
apartments and subdivisions, because I see that where I live. Like all the farmland that's not too far from me is now being sold off for
Yeah.
these big ass subdivisions.
It's like there's no value in the heritage where you came from. Like,
No.
you know, you could like I would love to see a world where I want to do this myself. I want to buy some land, have a bunch of people move in on it. My family mainly, but you know,
yeah.
and actually develop a local community of my closest friends and family built on this land that's paid for. That all we have to do is bring in enough income to keep the, you know, a little bit of electricity running away. You know, just
Well, the side
and everything
note,
else is just us just being together and helping
right.
each other. You know.
Well, the side note to this is that he bought 90 acres.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a Facebook post about this, and he was pretty open about what he does, talking about his life. And he bought 90 acres. He paid, what was it, 95,000 for it, and he owes 60,000 left on it.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever he's made from all his royalties off of the music for the last 3 weeks, that's paid for.
Yeah, that's
Like
awesome.
he's now got 90 acres to do what he wants with. And of course now he talked about having a small home and having a farm and raising livestock and so forth. But I'm happy for the dude, man. You can't help but to be happy for the guy. So
Yeah, for sure,
it's
for
great.
sure.
I wanna go home.
That guitar is beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know which road to go. It's been so long. I just know I didn't used to wake up feeling this way, cussing myself every damn day. People have really gone and lost their way. They all just do what the TV say. I wanna go home.
Dude. What he said there, they just do what the TV say. That reminds me so much of a song by Stain called Frey.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Talking about the devices and how much it controls our population. And
Yes.
we do what everything that we hear through the news and through the TV. You know, 'cause if you notice that the first part of that was what the rich man says. Now it's what the TV says.
Yes.
Well, who controls the TV? Well, the rich man. The rich man controls what propaganda you're seeing on the television. You know, so yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, if you haven't heard this song by Stain, check it out. Where's it at? Let me find the lyric here. It says, you're too busy with the lies they sold you. Another cure to fix your day. Open wide for all the shit they feed you while the TV defecates.
Yeah. Yep.
And blindly walk wherever they will lead you while the edges slowly
And
fray.
this song came out a while back.
Yeah, that was a 2003 release.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
crazy.
Holy crap.
All right.
So, where am I? I'm over here. Guys. I got it. I got this under control.
Do what the TV say. I wanna go home. want for my old dogs and the good Lord, they'd have me strung up in the psych ward.
Shot of the dog. So on the screen it says, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?"
I believe that was in reference to the $8 million contract that he was offered, and he turned it down.
Wait, did he write this after? Wait, was this song written after that, or just
I think
he recorded
it was recorded, and then I think he added this at the end after the 8 million. I mean, I'm just speculating. There's no way of really ever knowing. So
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of coincidental that this part of this verse was added to the end of this video after we learned that he was offered $8 million.
I love the what I love about this is the simplicity of the music itself. It's not inundating you with a whole series of 30 different tracks overlaid on top of one another. You know, it's just a man and his guitar. Like back when I saw Stained in concert, and this is before I even knew who Stained was. I have this memory in my mind, and it'll always be there. When he sang Outside,
I know that song well.
During that, it's the first time I'd heard the song at a concert.
Yeah.
That is the best way to hear a song for the first time. He comes out on a stool. Aaron Lewis has got nothing but the stool, his guitar, and his microphone.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, I have never seen so many lighters in my life. I swear
That was
to
back
God,
before cell phones.
I know. I swear everybody brought 2 lighters just for that song. It was amazing. And it's just the simplicity really makes you focus on the lyrics and not so much on this, clash of all this different. I mean, it's just, I noticed that difference between, modern music versus
right. And I think
what he's putting out.
For me, we now live in an era where AI and everything is generated electronically, and I think what's happening is that we're starving for this kind of music again.
Yeah.
Something just is very simple, something that's just there's not an overlay of all the different kind of beats and drums and bass and all this. It's just a man and his guitar out in the woods with his dogs, singing how he feels and just putting it out there.
Right.
It's so authentic, and it's sad that we are starving for that kind of music when we live in a world where we can do so much with it.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
we have gotten so far away. It's crazy, man. It really is.
Well, hell, what did y'all think about that song? That was pretty. I liked it. I liked
It's
it a
a good
lot.
song.
I may add that to my list for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And if you guys like that, what was your favorite lyric in the whole song? Just drop that in the comment section below and let us know. And if there's any other songs you'd like to see us react to and listen to, also drop that in the comments.
Yep,
Below.
absolutely.
You've been watching another episode of the Unframe of Mind Show. I'm your host, Daniel Wagner.
Hey, Anthony Trawick.
All right. And let's get back to our live stream now.
Back to our regularly
Yep,
scheduled
and
program.
stay tuned for that. I will be releasing that as its own individual episode, probably after I release the other 2 that we're about to do, but we're not going to do those live.
No, we're
so
not. No.
Let's check them chats, shall we?
If there's anybody still there.
I know, All right, well, if I could find it. There it is.
Hey.
There we go. Yeah, Rico says, I've got some very dated Stained stories, too. Fantastic.
Okay, do I know? Scarecrow, Scare the Neighbor is...
Where are we at? Okay, so speaking of...
Scroll up just a little bit. Okay.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. Oh, so sorry. Sorry for anybody just listening in and they don't know. We're just rambling about us. Rico recently posted a picture of him having a scarecrow in his yard, and he's got the Unframe of Mind shirt on it. Like, yes, our show is terrifying. I'd run too. All right. Well, Chris is still hanging in there hundreds of times. It was released 4 days ago. Stalker.
I know, right?
You've listened to the song hundreds of times, and the song was released 4 days ago. No, so are you seriously listening to this thing 25 times a day? You animal.
Yeah, it's I personally enjoy it, but yeah.
All right. Hey, Chris, be sure when I release the episode, drop that one in that comment section so that way I remember, because I will have so many other things on my mind before then. So anyway, I think this has been an excellent episode. We damn near went 2 hours. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was all the coffee was running through me, and I apologize leaving you like that. But
No, that's fine.
I was doing the potty dance, and I would not be able to focus much longer, much longer.
Well, it'd be good to wrap this up and stretch a little bit.
Yeah, for
so-
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys enjoyed this episode and want to see more like it, just let me know. Let me know what you liked about it. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you got? I honestly need to know. Do you guys enjoy the social or the current events more, or do you enjoy more of the
Personal
the
things.
personal stuff that we talk about? You know, or is it maybe just a little mix? You just enjoy hearing us blather on about whatever, you know?
Kind of feel like I need to be sitting in a coffee shop having these kind of conversations with you.
Yeah. So I did want to do that with people. I've already collected a decent amount of folks that expressed interest in this, but doing something locally like this, where we all just get together over a cup of coffee and we just have these talks. You know, we
Mhm.
just discuss, you know, the philosophy behind things, and with other people that disagree with us, and we try to come to some kind of agreement, because, you know, as long as you're in your own echo chamber, you're never going to grow.
Yeah, but even if you don't agree, at least that you're having a civil discourse of conversation
yeah.
that can be
Possible.
positive and productive. you
And
know.
possible.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's the ultimate outcome. But
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not, still, it's a win as long as you're able to sit down and have an open discussion without anybody raising their voice or getting too upset about things. You know,
Yeah, for
So,
sure. All right. Well, you guys have been watching yet another episode of the Unframe Mind Show, and I have missed doing these, and I would look forward to doing some more for sure. And maybe someday when we get a nice standard release schedule, maybe it'll grow. But for now, we're just doing it when we feel like doing it,
Yeah.
because we enjoy
That's
it.
the beauty of it.
Alrighty. Y'all have a good afternoon.